Before we get into this video, I want to ask you a question. What was the biggest financial mistake that you ever made? Drop it in the comments down below, because in today's video, what I want to do is I want to go through and let you guys know the biggest financial mistakes that I ever made. Now, there's a couple reasons I want to make this video. First reason is, I started this channel when I wasn't really making good money, and I really started this channel to let people know that no matter where you're at financially, you can always recover from decisions you make. And when I was younger, I spent a lot of money on cars and upgrading cars. I also get a lot of comments like this on my tier list videos when people are like, you talk so negatively about used cars and buying cars. Did you actually have that many cars when you were that age? The truth is I did, and we're going to go through and we're going to talk about it. Now, I'm going to put a running tally at the top here, and if you're not into cars, I apologize. I'm going to talk about cars a lot in this video and different modifications and stuff like that. But if you're not into cars, I recommend you still watch this video just for your entertainment, because I'm probably going to be crying at the end of this, because truthfully, I've never really, totaled up how much money I spent. I kind of have an idea, but I really want to sit down and add it all up. And I got inspired to make this video because I was watching JP Finance's recent video where he talked about how a car situation, set him back about $15,000. And it made me think like, man, I spent so much money on cars when I was younger. I wonder how much it really set me back. And that's what we're going to do this video. I'm going to go through and I'm going to calculate it. Now, one thing I do want to say too is I justified a lot of this spending when I was younger. I was a car guy. I didn't have a lot of vices, and I put all my money here. And if you're asking, well, how did you even afford all of this? Well, the truth is when I was 17, 18, I got a job as an automotive mechanic, and I was making around $800 a week. And my parents told me that as long as I go to college, I don't need to pay rent. And I did college online, so I was able to work overtime. And like I said, I was a young kid making $800 a week who really liked cars, and this is where all my money went. Grab some popcorn, and let's laugh at my terrible financial mistakes. Now, my first car, to get into it here, was a Pontiac Sunfire, and then I got a Hyundai Veloster. Now, I'm not counting either of these because my dad paid for them, so those are my dad losses. Dad, if you're watching this video, shout out to you. Now, the first car I ever purchased myself with my money was an NB Miata, and I bought this car for $2,600 cash money. Now, obviously, some of the totals in this video aren't going to be perfect. I can't obviously remember exactly what I spent in 2017, but we'll get as close as possible, and I'll put pictures on the screen to try to prove my case here in case people think I'm lying. Now, I bought this car, like I said, for $2,600 cash money. This was around mid-2017, so I was 17 years old. Now, in this car, I did a few upgrades. I put a new steering wheel on it from Grip Royal. I did some maintenance. I did a new clutch, new head gaskets, and I would say all in, I was deep around $1,000 into modifications for this car. Now, I sold this car for $2,100, and this 99 green NB manual Miata that I bought to learn how to drive stick on is by far the car I regret selling the most. I really miss this car. As a car guy, if you guys are car people out there, you know that Miatas are a blast to drive, and I really do miss driving this car. But yeah, I sold that car for $2,100. Now, the reason I sold that car is I wanted to get into something a little bit faster, a little bit more fancy, and I was actually going to get a Subaru BRZ, and when I went to the dealership to test drive it, they told me it was sold, and they're like, you should drive a WRX, and I'm like, no, I don't want a four-door car. They're like, just drive it, and I fell in love with it when I drove it. It was the first turbo car I ever drove, and I ended up buying a white 2017 manual Subaru WRX non-STI, so it had the FA20 motor. Now, I spent $23,000 on this car. Obviously, I financed this over 60 months, I financed this over 72 months. My car payments were $440 on this car, and this was mid-2018, so I was 18 years old. Now, this is where the modification bug really bit me, and I went absolutely crazy on this car. I did Graham Light 57 CR wheels. I did a massive wing from Battle Arrow. I did a bunch of carbon fiber carbon fiber interior bits. I redid the whole interior to make it more like a track setup. So I had NRG purple Alcantara seats. I did full bolt-ons. I got a dyno tuned on 93. Then I took it back. I got a dyno tuned on E85. I was running E60, so it's a blend of E85 ethanol gas and premium gas. And truthfully, I actually was able to afford all of this because I used a firm. Like I was literally using, like, it's embarrassing to admit it, but you got to be accountable. You got to look back and see where you came from. And I was literally buying half this stuff on a firm. Like I was using buy now, pay later to upgrade half this car. Now, if you add up the wheels, the interior, the dyno tuning, the modifications, the maintenance, I was easily $15,000 into this car. Now, this is where the story hurts a little bit more. When I get over something, I get over it pretty hard. And I was over this car. I was tired of it. The BC Racing coilovers I had were way too stiff, and I just wanted to get rid of the car. I had it on Facebook Marketplace for like 3 days, and I ended up selling it to CarMax, not trading it in. I sold it to CarMax for $14,000 as is. So I literally sold it to CarMax for less than the modifications I had into it. Now, the worst part is I owed $16,500 on this car when I traded it in, which, if you do the math here, that means that, yes, I paid CarMax $2,500 to take the keys away from me. Now, look, this is what I'm saying. We all make terrible financial decisions. The more I look back on it, in the financial position I'm at right now, I think, what was I thinking? But I was young. I was dumb. I was making financial decisions that I just didn't have the authority to make. Now, we get even crazier because after I sold that car, I bought my 2017 BMW 340i. This car is a beast. It's a unit. The reason I bought this car is because I wanted a Toyota Supra, but I couldn't afford it. And I knew the new Supras came with the B58 motor, and I wanted a B58 motor. Did my research, and I found this car for $28,000. I bought this car in mid-2020, so I was 20 years old, and my monthly payments on this car were $550. And I went absolutely wild again. And yes, in the pictures, this is all the same car. I did not one, not two, not three, but 4 different sets of wheels on this car. Even getting into 3-piece wheels that I paid around $850 per wheel for. The good news is I did sell those wheels for $1,800, but that doesn't really change anything. I did a big turbo on this car. I ran ethanol in this car as well. I did an exhaust, catless downpipes, transmission tune, custom tune. I was at least $20,000 into this car as well. I did airlift 3P suspension that I spent around $3,000 for, and then I spent around $1,500 to get it installed. At least $20,000 into this car in modifications. Terrible. Look, this car was a blast to drive. By far the most fun I've ever had driving a fast car. The noises it made, the turbo noises, the street presence it had with how low it was. Oh, not to mention I did an M2 conversion front bumper that I got paint matched. Then I was going to pick up my girlfriend. I was driving way too low, and I ended up smacking the front bumper on the railroad tracks, busted the whole front bumper, and I had to buy a new one and get it repaint matched. And that was about $2,000, so that's about $4,000 if you add that up. So yeah, it was a mess. I went way too deep into this car. Once again, I enjoyed every bit of it. It gave me great experiences. I have great memories from this car, but I just went way too far down the rabbit hole. Now, you might ask yourself, well, what'd you do with this car? Well, I privately sold this car online for $21,000. Yes, as is. I didn't part anything out like I should have. And I sold this car for $21,000 while I owed $19,000 on the car. So I profited about $2,000 from the actual online sale. But once again, if you account everything I spent, it doesn't make it any better at all. Now, this leads us to the final boss of poor car decisions. This was by far the worst decision I ever made when it came to cars. I had convinced myself that it was a good idea to get an electric car because I was going to be commuting for work about an hour. Now, you might ask yourself, oh yeah, get a Prius, right? No, I ended up thinking, because I was a quote-unquote car guy, I thought if I was going to get a Tesla, I needed to get the Model 3 Performance. Now, I ended up leasing this car because I couldn't afford the financing payments, and I leased this car for 3 years, and Tesla wanted $5,000 up front, and my car payment was $650. That's a lot of money. Now, here's where it gets terrible. I kept this car for a grand total of 5 months. After 5 months, I remember looking at my bank account and I saw that $650 come out, and I thought, this is way too much money. I can't afford this. I can't afford, even though I could afford it, it's just, it hurt seeing $650 come out every single month. So I had two options. I got in contact with Tesla. I said, hey, I want to return the lease to you guys. And they said, hey, you can return the lease to us, but we're going to need you to give us $5,500 to return it, or you can have someone take over the lease, or just keep the car and obviously keep making the payments. I made the hard decision that I'm like, look, I'm just going to bite the bullet and give the car back. I didn't want to wait and find someone to take over the lease. I didn't want to keep the car and keep paying $650. So not only did I give them $5,000 up front and pay $650 for a car payment, but 5 months later, I gave them $5,500 back to take the keys back from me. We're going to take a moment of silence for my finances. And those were that was the final straw where I was like, what am I doing? And ever since then, after that whole situation, I drove my dad's beater truck for about a year. And then I got into a relatively affordable car payment, the lowest car payment I've ever had. And if you keep up with my net worth videos, you would see that I'm trying to pay it off aggressively before, time goes by. So that was the financial decisions I made. Now, I know there's a tally on the screen here somewhere letting you guys how much I actually cooked myself, and there's a few things I want to say about this. Yo, what's up, guys? It's editing Slow Stack Society here, and the fact that the total spent is around $85,000, or at least close to there, I know it's not going to be perfect, is absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe I spent that much money. Like I said, I've never totaled it up before, and I wish I had never totaled it up before because that's absolutely disgusting. First things first is you guys know that whatever amounts on the screen right now, the more I look at it, the more you think like, imagine if I invested that money, right? Imagine if I invested into the stock market. Imagine if I invested it into Bitcoin, right? Who knows? Just imagine if I invested that money and got it going for me. And that was kind of the main thing here is once I got over that Tesla payment and I gave the Tesla back, I really sat down and looked at my situation. I'm like, I have spent so much money on cars, and it got to the point where I'm like, why am I doing this? The problem is this happens to so many people, and it's not even with cars, because you get this identity and you get this hobby justification where it's like, I'm the car guy, or I'm the photographer, or I'm the watch guy, or I'm the sneakerhead. And you start thinking like, okay, how can I get the best version of all of this? And I did it with cars. A lot of people do it with gaming setups, or photography gear gets so expensive. Whatever it might be, your hobby becomes part of your identity, and so spending just feels so justified. Like when I had the BMW, if you told me four different sets of wheels was too much, I would have been like, no, it's not. This is my hobby. I love cars. And now granted, I didn't have any bad vices, right? I didn't smoke, I didn't drink, I didn't go out and party. Cars were my expression of myself. I loved cars. I love upgrading them. I love modifying them. That's where the majority of my fun in my youth came from, right? It was, driving cars late at night, listening to the turbo, stuff like that. But it gets to a point where it's like, man, at some point you got to grow up and you got to be like, I'm wasting so much money on this. And not only does this happen to so many people, but now I want to talk about if you're watching this video and you are looking at this and you're thinking you're in the same boat. When I was making all these bad financial decisions and I realized this was too much, I could have taken two routes, right? I could have given back the Tesla, gone into a depression and thought to myself, my finances are over. Even though I'm young, I've ruined myself financially. But instead what I did was I was like, I just wasted so much money on cars. I need to figure out how to make my money start working for me. And that's when I got into saving heavily. That's when I started, educating myself about investing and compound interest and in the stock market. And I realized, man, if I just give up spending so much freaking money on cars, I can actually start growing my money in a responsible way. And once again, this was like 3 years ago, right? So it's like, I want you guys to watch this video and think like, if you think you're in a really bad situation, there's always time to get out of it. If you look at me right now and you look at how I track my net worth and how I invest, and then I showed you this young version of myself, you wouldn't think that the two people are the same, right? Like, I'm a completely different person financially than I was when I was in my late teens and early 20s, and I'm only 26 right now. And it just takes a few small years of discipline, consistent investing, consistent saving to really change your whole financial situation. Now, obviously, we're all different, right? We're all in different situations. Some people are paying a lot in rent. Some people aren't in the best financial situations, and I fully get that. But I'm more so saying this as motivation to where it's like, if you're watching this video and you've thought to yourself before, like, you ruined yourself financially and you have like this doomer mindset around your finances and you think you'll never recover, I promise you, this is a testament, right? Like, this video is a testament to show that you can recover from anything. It's not easy, right? I had to change my mindset completely. And it definitely isn't fast. It took me, almost 4 years to get to the position I'm in now financially, just to get close to $100,000 net worth. But it's definitely possible. And like I said, I think about it all the time. As much as I love these cars and I enjoyed them and I made great experiences, imagine what my net worth would be at if I just went 50% less crazy, or 80% less crazy, or even 20% less crazy, right? Like, I don't want to discourage people. If you're watching this video and you're a car guy and you love spending your money and upgrading cars, more power to you. I am too, right? Like, I would love to buy a new car right now and go upgrade it and have fun with it. But at the end of the day, you can do it responsibly. And when I was younger, I did not do it responsibly. So if you are going to have fun on your hobbies and maybe upgrade your watch collection or your sneaker collection or your photography gear, whatever it might be, just do it responsibly and make sure you are paying mind and paying attention to what is actually coming in versus what's going out. So that's enough for this video. I just wanted to go through that, talk about that, and let you guys know that we all make financial mistakes, and I've made a lot of mistakes in my earlier years of life, and it's definitely added up to quite a big amount of money. So I appreciate you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and see ya.